on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of O'Connor and Company underway. I am Derek Hunter, podcaster, columnist, etc. Sitting in for vacationing Larry O'Connor, joined by Mercedes Schlapp. Oh, Mercedes, you live over in that Virginia area over there, that cesspool of crime is turning into. Isn't this lovely? We watch really nice areas of the country deteriorate. As soon as Democrats come in, it's like you discover you have termites, and then everything immediately falls apart, goes to hell, and you get a George Soros prosecutor, and it's all downhill from there. Over in Fairfax County, shoplifting is up almost 42%. Almost 42%. There was video footage over there at Tyson's Galleria. I saw this footage. Teens. Everybody's always described as teens. Mm-hmm. Running down the escalator. Apparently, they got away with $150,000 worth of stuff. I don't know how you could. It had to have just been straight up diamonds. But we have a cut here. Nick Minnick of ABC 7 talking about the uptick, shall we say, in crime. Cut 2. Go ahead.
Everything from shopping malls to grocery stores are feeling the impact, and customers are too, says County Supervisor Pat Harity.
You're talking about millions of dollars being stolen, and the stores have to recover that cost, and that goes right into the cost of the merchandise.
Giant Food is taking action at many of its Northern Virginia grocery stores, including shutting certain entrances and exits, limiting how many items you can purchase at self-checkout, and stores are closing earlier.
When was the last time you were in Manhattan, Mercedes?
I try to avoid Manhattan. I like Manhattan, Kansas over Manhattan, New York. Quite, I mean.
But when was the last time you were up in New York City?
No, it would have been. I would say it was like last December. And
did you go to a Dwayne Reed or anything while you were there?
Yeah, actually, I did go. How do you know? Like, you're tracking me, Derek. This is so weird.
It's just something in your phone. I work with TikTok. It's all good. But last time we were there, it was last summer as well, last June. And I always make a point, you can tell a lot by the commonalities in one area to another. Like so drugstores, it's Dwayne Reed up there. It's not Dwayne Reed down here, but it's the same. It's basically a CVS.
Sure.
I think it might even be the same company as Walgreens. I went into the Dwayne Reed near Midtown, and everything was locked up. Everything was behind. Now, it was a good time to have been involved in big plexiglass. I should have thrown all my money into big plexiglass and padlocks. But it was weird to me that there was one section of the store where it wasn't padlocked. Now, you go in there and the hair dye and the nail polish and the soap and everything is locked up. You literally have to push a button and somebody will eventually come to you and get it. But the food wasn't locked up. Now, if you would think that if it was really just, it's homeless people, they're desperate for money and they're stealing things to sell things so that they can get food, you'd think the food would need to be locked up. But the food didn't need to be locked up because a microwave meal doesn't have much street value. You can't smoke it and you can't do anything except eat it. So it was weird that as the left argues that, well, people are suffering and people are having, you can't be too hard on people shoplifting. It was only things with a street value, with a resale value, where you could put it on eBay at a discount that had to be locked up, whereas the things that actually sustained human life were right there for the taking and nobody was bothering to take it. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it's not exactly the highest nutrition meal, a bag of potato chips, but when you're hungry, it will keep you alive.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about society here, that nobody's stealing food unless they're stealing high-end steaks from, like, the Wegmans, but people are stealing everything that you can get $20 for on eBay?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, first of all, can we, Derek, you just went through and just decided to hit Virginia by saying, oh, crime is up in Fairfax County. But Maryland, you look at Baltimore, you look at those cities in Maryland where you all live, and it's bad. This is not just happening here in Virginia.
This isn't a turf war.
I got to protect my state.
This is a turf war. You say crime is up in Baltimore. I would say, how do you notice? But that being said,
and then you quickly go to New York. I was like, wait a second here. You don't even give me a chance to respond to you.
traditionally thought of as a place where you got to hide everything. Fairfax County is a danger. You're going to Fairfax County? You couldn't pay me to go to Fairfax County. Now, there are a lot of people like, the National Aquarium up in Baltimore. I love that place. You want to go? Oh, good God, no. No way. I wouldn't go anywhere. Unless you can chopper me in and I can rappel down to the roof, I'm not going anywhere near that thing. So that's the thing is, the liberalism that has been constant, at least in my lifetime up in Baltimore, is now infesting Fairfax County over in Virginia.
Well, and you're right. I mean, I do think when I'm talking to a lot of these suburban moms in the area, they are fed up with the crime, and they are so mad that we can't get a Republican or even a moderate Democrat to win these district attorney seats. It's very frustrating for our folks in Northern Virginia that now we're having to deal with crime. I mean, I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. I got to tell you, we get those constant updates on just a shooting here, a stabbing here, all about 2 or 3 miles from our house. And you're just going, what is going on in these cities? And it does make people, I think, in this area very concerned. But then you brought up New York. See, you shifted quickly. You hit Virginia, so I have to defend Virginia.
Well, it's just because Virginia's terrible. No,
it's not terrible.
I'm not saying Virginia. You're the one who immediately took it. Fairfax County, 41%, 42% uptick in crime. I'm pointing that out. You came back with Baltimore. I would agree with you. Baltimore's terrible. I wouldn't take the kids back to where I lived there for 13 years. Again, a high-stakes bet that I lost. But it is not someplace I would ever take the girls to because they're like, I want to see Baltimore. Like, yeah, okay, well, here's some pictures. That's about as close as you're going to get.
But and I would say for Governor Youngkin, that crime should be basically tackling crime should be one of his major issues, moving into this race now, and the Senate races, the assembly races now in Virginia. It should be his top issue. This is something that this is a talk of the talk of the town, basically. But then going to New York, you mentioned the New York stores are locking up ice cream with these padlocks, anti-theft devices. But the reality is this is happening in all these major cities. New York City alone, they have 100,000 homeless people. Just think about that. 100,000 homeless people. They are not dealing with these issues.
I think that would make them the third largest city in Maryland or Virginia. Like 100,000 homeless people.
Yeah. Think about it. And they have no way of coping with these issues. And so they've created this infested cities of crime, of people not feeling secure. You're seeing these violent crimes also happening in New York City with the subways. And the problem is that that's infiltrating not just New York City, but it's going into all these other cities. And we're not getting down to these major issues of the mere fact is cost of living is way too high, mental health, drug use. There's so many societal problems that, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for these cities.
I don't think your next job will be with the Chamber of Commerce in New York City. I'm going to go out on a limb there and say that you just took yourself out of contention.
Out of the running?
Yeah, it's weird how the truth doesn't really help you in those situations. It is 6:50.
WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Later today on the Chris Plante Show, Hillary Clinton warns if President Trump is reelected,
it would be the end of democracy in the United States.
Bitter, 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Oh, Hillary, we miss you so desperately. Hey, speaking of New York, Mercedes, if you got any single friends up there, I know somebody who is single and ready to mingle and would have really taken the Frankenstein vote had John Fetterman not reached the national stage, and that is former mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio. He likes to unwind with a little bit of weed, and he likes to tout his progressive politics. And now he and his wife of 30 years have decided to separate. Look, it's sad when any relationship, when any marriage ends, but they're not actually ending the marriage. This is weird. They've announced to the world they're separating. They're not planning on divorcing, but they're hitting the singles bars. They've got their Grindr profiles up there, and you can swipe right away for them both. You know anybody who might be up for a little bit of Bill de Blasio?
Well, no, I don't think they're their type in any way. But the reality is, and this was Tom Bevan, who basically said, he tweeted out, he's never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer. Bill de Blasio wondered if marrying a self-identified lesbian meant there was a time bomb ticking in his marriage. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Seriously. So you marry a lesbian and you think this marriage is going to work out?
How do you make the
and
case?
Then she
Look,
comes
I know
across
you're not attracted to me. I know you want nothing to do with me whatsoever. But we can make this work. You find me as repugnant as I do. So let's go for this.
You wondered what they shared in common. It was so they
both like chicks. That's what
no kidding. McRae, the wife or ex-wife, whatever they are, her quote was literally, "I just want to have fun." It's like the Cyndi Lauper song, "Girls just want to have." I just want to have fun. I'm sorry, but you
68.
get to an age in which like you're literally saying, "I just want to have fun." Get over yourself. You're not 20 anymore.
Yeah. I want to make sure I get to my fair share of key parties before I reach 70. I want to throw my family truckster keys into the fishbowl and pretend it's 1972 all over again. And let's go to town. Yeah, no, one of the things, Bill de Blasio got a lot of mileage out of being in an interracial relationship. Now, does this make this a hate crime? Is he now a racist or what? Retroactively, do we do that? Because
it depends.
He
it
constantly
depends who
used
his next
son as like justification for his policies and sort of his progressive street cred card. Look, we have an interracial son. Like, okay, nobody cares, Bill. Nobody cares.
It did sound like a politically arranged marriage. You know what I mean? It sounds like the Clintons, politically arranged. They were climbing the political ladder, and then he kind of fell apart, and she said, "I'm over it. I'm going to go find my lady lover and abandon you, but let's live together, because the cost of living in New York City is so expensive that why should we have two separate houses?" So this is the solution to those people who stay in New York, but yet they hate their spouse. They want to get divorced, but they're like, it's too expensive for us to live apart.
And you can't live on a former mayor's salary
up
in New York. It's sad day. So pour one out this weekend for the de Blasios, and then look for them both on Grindr. I don't know. I don't know who's going to go. You know what? Bill de Blasio is the guy. He announced for like 20 minutes that he was running for Congress, and people like choked back vomit and said no. And he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. I forgot how much I sucked." And then he went away. Sorry. He's known for being lazy. He's known for sleeping in. He's known for being Bill de Blasio and doing. He's responsible for what New York is, which is now it just smells like a urinal that's smoking weed currently. That's the fragrance, the official fragrance of New York City, and can only imagine what he smells like. So, yeah, he's single, ladies. It's 6:21. Mercedes Schlapp, you're a jet setter. You travel quite a bit. Have you noticed the uptick in service animals, service dogs that are in no way service dogs?
The cute little fluffy dogs?
Yeah, that's right.
They call them Fifi or Coco?
Yeah, exactly. A Shiba Inu. Somebody was trying to pass off a Shiba Inu, which is you can put it in your purse. Really is. It's like just this side of stuffed. And apparently there is a crackdown over at Delta Airlines on this because, frankly, I worked I was the first person ever hired at the Daily Caller. And there was a guy who worked there, a good friend of mine, Jack. And he brought his dog in every day. And then they started saying, when we switched offices, that you can't bring your dog in. This is a real office, not a house in DuPont Circle. So he went to Amazon. He bought a vest for the dog with patches that you could just stick on it, Velcro, anything. And suddenly this dog that knocked over 80% of the people who came to the office, it was a huge dog, and it was just no discipline at all, became a service dog. And the guards at the front door said, "Okay, well, we can't say anything about that." And it seems like that's so much of life now on planes. And wouldn't it be nice to see a crackdown? Like you actually you can't just go to Amazon and buy the vest and the little patches. You actually have to prove that it's a service animal, because there are some people who need service animals with them. And then there are other people who are just unrepentant narcissists who don't give a damn about anybody else, and their dog will go to the bathroom in the aisle of the plane and bite passengers, and that is not a service dog. Have you ever seen anything?
Well, first of all, I thought you were going to tell me that you were a former flight attendant. That's what I thought you were going to tell me.
I've had a lot of
when you started
jobs.
your
That was
story
not
about
one
the
of them.
dog.
Although, I think I'd look pretty good in the uniform, to be perfectly honest with you. And I can pour a beverage like nobody's business.
No. I
We
think,
are-
it's funny. I haven't seen a ton of these service dogs, but sometimes they bring in the big lab. Look, I'm a lab person. We have 2 labs, a yellow lab, a chocolate lab. And I love my lab. But let me tell you, they take up a lot of
I only travel
room.
with a service pony. We're being waved off. It's 6:30. We'll be back.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Welcome back to the O'Connor and Company for this Thursday. I'm Derek, and I'm not Larry O'Connor. Sitting in for vacationing Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlapp joining us. Just one quick thought about the, before we get on to the latest outrage, Target, another reason to boycott Target. One last thought on the service animals. We really do need to crack down on this stuff. There has to be some sort of teeth to it. If you can't travel without your pot-bellied pig, if you are such a fragile little snowflake that you can't go anywhere without your pot-bellied pig or your toy pony or whatever the heck it is, your turkey, whatever these things are, do the world and the people you're going to visit a favor and don't go visit them. So I promise you, you can't go anywhere without your pot-bellied pig? Okay, great. You're not invited to the neighborhood barbecue. Not interested in that. So yeah, grow up and or drive everywhere, whatever the hell it is. Okay, now let's get on with the issue of the day, because Mercedes Schlapp, I noticed you on Twitter. That's right. I saw you on Twitter out there spreading more hate for Target.
You're scaring me.
Target, we're on. I know when you're in Manhattan. I work for Santa Claus, really. So
I think you're part of the CIA.
I
think you are CIA, Derek.
I wish I had a pension. But
I know.
The Washington Examiner, Paul Bedard, and of course the great one himself, Mark Levin, has reported this, that Target has informed him and his publisher that they will not be carrying his forthcoming book, The Democrat Party Hates America. Apparently Target has a problem with the gender assigned at birth of children, normal people, and so they sell products to tuck that back. But they also don't want to offend Democrats by any stretch of the imagination. And so they've decided not to carry this book. And you tweeted out rather astutely another reason to boycott Target. You ready to get this thing? Because the thing is, the Target is tough to boycott because Target is convenient. Like if you just need shampoo, you just run to Target and get it. You've got to break. We did a great job with Anheuser-Busch. It's now you can buy that. You can buy the whole company. They're basically giving beer away in some states.
No kidding.
Refunds. And all they really got to do is not be jerks, and they should probably make a product that doesn't suck, too, on top of it. But that's for another time. But
I got to ask you, Derek.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to ask you, though. I'm wondering, is Target, are these executives are they consulting Satan? Because remember, they are the ones that
Satan's better at marketing. Satan's smarter at marketing.
But can you just picture Satan saying, Mark Levin, we need to stop him. So boycott so the book is not allowed because it's going to quote unquote offend these leftists. Let me tell you something. Target had and I went, my children loved going to Target. I mean, it's so, to your point, convenient. But in addition to the craziness of Pride season at Target and the tucked in bathing suits and the then aligning themselves with Panic Designer, where they were designing shirts for kids. We sat down with our kids. We're like, there's no more Target. We will make our own clothes if we have to, but we are not going to Target. We are not stepping foot in that store.
And that's
now
really
it gives us another reason.
There aren't very many stores with toy sections anymore. And so the Target was just fun. The kids, it was one of the places where you had to go because you needed things. And the kids wouldn't whine about it. They don't really want to go to not excited about going to the grocery store. But Target, they can at least whine about not getting the latest Peppa Pig things or whatever and look at them and whine and complain about that. You take that away. And, we grew up Toys R Us. Was it how
we did grow up Toys R Us.
How did you love going to Toys R Us? And to deny your kids the browsing fun of seeing the latest, greatest toys, because Target is just a place that you just look at and you go, I don't want to. They hate me. Why would I give them my money?
Yes. So there's no more shopping at Target. No more. And you got to put your foot down. And this shows you, for crying out loud, Mark Levin's book, and they won't sell it because the customers certain of them would be offended. I mean, they sell more of these queer books and all this stuff going on in Target, but you're not offended by Satan?
You can't go into a Target without a full body cutout of Ellen Page sitting there, speaking of tucking back, standing there, and her latest book about how she literally punched herself in the face a whole bunch and then decided she had to sexually mutilate her body. And now I've never seen anybody insist they're happy contrary to all outward appearances of them, the way that Ellen Page is. It's the best decision I ever made. I'm wildly happy. Like, I don't know, that sounds like just the side of a hostage video. It's what you have to tell yourself once you've done irreversible damage.
That's
you kind of have to spend the rest of your life trying to convince yourself through trying to convince others that you're perfectly happy with what's going on here when you really probably just needed a little bit of inpatient care and some intensive therapy. But Target's cool with that.
No, it's so sad.
But
look, Target is feeling the effects. They've lost Target Market. They've lost $15 billion. I mean, they've had this issue with in really
and
embracing
they don't care.
This
That's what's
agenda.
amazing to me. Where are the shareholder revolts, or is it all just about the ESG score with BlackRock?
I think that's where we are with Target, and the mere fact is that they're doubling down. They're not saying, okay, let's review these policies. No. They are doubling down. Which you've seen Anheuser-Busch try. They've tried to salvage their
in an offensive way, demonstrating
campaign.
They really don't know their customer. Hey, let's get Travis Kelce, a great football player, and we'll just get him and a bunch of other guys to kind of grunt and drink our beer. All you really got to do is say, hey, we really screwed up. Sorry about that. And we'll go back to what it was, or go quiet for a little while. But the desperate there comes a certain point when your constant apologizing only serves the purpose to remind people of what you did in the first place to necessitate the apology. And, that's not a very good spiral to go down. So,
I got to tell you, I was driving in D.C., which is never a great experience, and there was backed up traffic on 395, and literally there was a huge Bud Light truck, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm sure there's people driving next to them, like just making some sort of comments, like saying, buddy, what are you doing driving that truck?
As a younger single fella, you're like, that'd be awesome if the doors flew open and like cases of beer fell out.
Yeah.
If Bud Light fell out of the truck, I might help him load it back in. No, here you go. Don't get that. It is 6:44 on WMAN. It, of course, goes without saying, Mercedes Schlapp, that you should pre-order Mark Levin's book, The Democrat Party Hates America. And, much to Target's chagrin, it's not even out for a little while. It's not out until September, but it's currently number 8 on Amazon. And having been in the top there on Amazon, I know that means that you're selling lots of copies, pre-ordering lots of copies, and that's before Mark really even puts the push on it. So, yeah, sorry, Target, all you're doing is screwing your shareholders out of money, and congratulations for that. I don't understand. It's like,
well, apparently we're the ones that threaten, right? There's these, or they have the offended customers that have threatened Target. I believe.
Well, you remember
that
during the Pride controversy, that all the headlines were like, Target getting lots of bomb threats. And then you read paragraph 72 of the story, and it turns out it was the alphabet mafia, the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ people who were calling in bomb threats because they moved the tuck bathing suits to the back. Like, well, blow you up. So maybe they were getting a whole bunch of threats. Somebody says they hate Democrats, and then the Democrats say, well, we must burn this place to the ground. So, maybe there's some method to their madness.
It works. I mean, that sort of fear-mongering by the left, goodness gracious, when they're attempting to burn things down and loot, really, I mean, it gets the corporations very nervous.
Liberal corporations are willing to stand firm against people who don't really do any threatening of them in any way, shape, or form, the Christian conservatives. Right. But you threaten them a little bit, and they will do your bidding. All right, so there is a new that strange disturbance in the force you feel is there's a new social media app out there. How many different social media accounts do you have? You have Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook,
you have Instagram?
Twitter, Instagram.
Do you have
Be Real is really fun. Have you done Be Real?
No.
Derek, you and Heather should do Be Real.
I'm wildly antisocial. My problem is I don't like anything or anybody.
I get it.
And I mean that in the nicest possible way.
I'm with you.
I have Twitter, and I do well on Twitter. I have a good following on Twitter, and I have Facebook. And I barely use Facebook. I just post my columns to Facebook. I used to be super active on Facebook, and now I'm not. I did sign up for what is the Trump one? Truth Social. I do have a Truth Social account.
Yes, I'm on.
But
Truth
I don't use
well.
it. I had a Parler account, but I never used that. And I think I have a YouTube account, but I don't use. I have them, but I don't use them. And so now there's a new one, Threads, and it's supposedly going to be taking on Twitter. It's by Meta, which is Facebook's parent company. Will you be getting... See, I think people should lock down an account on all of these things just to get their names. So that because my email address is my full name at gmail.com. Like the whole,
right.
Because every other permutation of my name was taken by the time I got to Gmail.
Well, Derek Hunter's a pretty common name. I don't think
but it's my middle
Schlapp
name
is
as
a
well.
common name.
Well, but there's Z Hunter, Hunter D.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of years you put it in. It was all taken. Because remember when Gmail first started, you had to get an invite. Remember that? You had to be invited.
Yeah.
And then you had to sign up, and you got 10 invites, and people were trading them like they were early Bitcoins. Well, by the time I got in there, everything else was done. So my email address is super long. So I want to lock in as quickly as possible my name or what I use.
So are you going to do this on Threads? Is that your...
Probably not. I was looking at it, and I don't know that I care enough to do this anymore.
I'm exhausted. I can't keep up with all the social media accounts. But I got to tell you, I mean, you've got Kim Kardashian on there, Jennifer Lopez, and of course, AOC. But, you got to ask yourself with Mark Zuckerberg, what timing? Basically, a year before the presidential election, after he was responsible for throwing millions and millions of dollars into the 2020 election, let me just throw out a platform, which I'm sure will be known as the Democrat National Committee platform, to push all the leftist propaganda. That's my guess.
Well, if they just had some truth in advertising, I'd have no problem with that. But maybe this is Zuckerberg's way of fighting Elon Musk without actually having to get into the ring with Elon Musk. Who
do you think would win that if they would end up in the cage fight?
Comedy.
I think Zuckerberg's in better shape, but I'd be rooting for Elon.
I like Elon's strategy that he calls the walrus, which is basically just to throw his ginormous body on top of Mark Zuckerberg and hope that oxygen deprivation sets in before Elon gets winded. I just want to, the fight I want to see between them is throwing bricks of $100 bills at each other. Dodgeball with $10,000 bricks of cash.
I love it.
And every time they miss the other person with it, that money goes to charity or goes to
how about bars of gold? That would be even more.
Those are heavy. I'm not sure either one.
But then
gold coins, they could skip them across. But
hey, Derek, I do want to mention, because this new Threads, listen to this. You're going to love this. In this article, it says, it's an opportunity to create a less toxic version of Twitter. May this platform have good vibes, strong community, excellent humor, and less harassment, Ocasio-Cortez said in her post. I mean, this is a safe space.
I go to
for
Twitter
the left.
for the information. I stay for the hate. It's 6:53. Holy cow, Mercedes. Time is just flying by. We've already got 2 hours into this, and I did just download the Threads app. Problem is you have to log in with your Instagram account. I have an Instagram account where I literally follow nobody as far as I know. I think I got that a while ago. And so, like, what the password is, I have no idea. So I'll have to figure that out during the break.
Instagram is tricky because, like, the younger folks like to use Instagram, and they do that Snapchat stuff. Just wait.
I don't think the world wants to see me.
When the girls get on social media when they're teenagers.
No, never. Not allowed.
Never.
Not allowed at all. Unless we can monetize it. Then we'll set them up with YouTube pages and everything, and we'll make them the new Olsen twins 2 years apart.
That's right.
That I'll do. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to be joined by Benjamin Weingarten of Real Clear Investigations, talk about the government spying on you. Oh, fun never stops. It's 7 o'clock.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington.